Hello everybody, this is Nate, aka Devil Dog, and I'm back with a new game review. This time I'm reviewing the just released Mass Effect Andromeda. It was published by EA and developed by BioWare and runs off of their Frostbite 3 game engine and was released on the Microsoft Windows, the PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One. The actual official release date of this game is March 21st of 2017, and it is a third-person action role-playing game where you play as one of two characters, either Scott or Sarah Ryder. And don't worry, you can definitely go and change their name and the way they look. And now, the overall character creation system is rather poor. It consists of just basic sliders. Think of it on the same lines of what Fallout 4 was, but a lot more subdued and not that detailed. You can't really make your character look that much different, and they kind of look kind of stupid anyhow. Now, once you choose your character after you create them, your father Alec will be made based off of what sort of selections that you made. It does have a New Game Plus mode, which is really the only way you can switch to your other character and do unfinished missions. Now, unlike the other games in the series of Mass Effect, with the 6 different character classes that you get, you are allowed to assign your skills any way you want, so you're not forced to be stuck in a bracket like you were in the first ones, which is pretty damn good. Naturally, as you go through the game, you get your experience points by doing missions and basically anything you want. There is no level cap, which is fantastic, and you can reallocate your points as you go along. Now, as you play through the game, you will be in your main ship for the most part of the game, the Tempest, and use it to explore the galaxy. And there is over a dozen planets with central hubs to them as you go through. And you get what they call Andromeda viability points for the upgrade of your ship. And they're used to upgrade all kinds of different abilities to it. And as you go along, you will get the option to actually build outposts. And as you go through, each of the planets does have, quote, a main boss you'll have to beat to take over the planet. Now, each planet has an open world part aspect to it that you get to traverse with certain areas with your 6-wheeled vehicle called the Nomad, and you can go around. And the main part of the game, which is kind of boring so far, is you get to scan a lot of fucking items. Now, it does have a neat aspect when you're in your 6-wheeled Nomad that you can activate what they're called drones. So as you drive by and you see that there's like a certain item that you want to pick, you can actually set out a drone and it will gather it for you. Now, most of the areas that you jump into, you get drop zones, and they act pretty much like a fast travel location. And some of the planets that you go through actually also do have environmental hazards that you will have to deal with, like some are cold planets, some are hot planets, and etc. Now, as you go through, you get to collect blueprints for armor and weapons, and some of them, the rare items, can actually be named. And now, the dialogue wheel from all the previous Mass Effects does return. This time, the way they got it set up is there is actually not the same thing. I think it was called the Paragon or Renegade morality system in the last series. This one has a bare bones basic version. They call it Heart, Head, Professional, and Casual. And occasionally as you go through, you'll also have the added ability of something that's called an impulse action, where you get to make different moral decisions on the fly. Like you may have a guy being mouthy to you and you're given the option to shoot his ass. Now, I have noticed with this dialogue wheel, it is not really that in-depth, and it doesn't really seem to actually have any sort of impact to it. Now, what I mean by that is in the original Mass Effects, you had to take into account what you said very, very carefully, because whatever you said actually would affect pretty much the rest of the game. In this, you can pretty much backpedal. You can be a prick one moment, and you can just be a nice guy the next, and it really doesn't really make it to where you actually have to worry about your decisions that much. Now, as you do go through, you do also get to develop friendships over time in the game with your other characters and stuff, which, yes, does mean that you can end up befriending them and falling in love with them and having sex with them, but that's pretty much always been in most of the Mass Effects games. Now, as for the battle, that is by far the best aspect of this game. Now, as you go along, you do have a jetpack that allows you to hover and strafe, and also an auto cover system. It kind of plays out like a weird hybrid version of Gears of War to me. It was pretty damn good. The gunfire and melee and special attacks, you are allowed to set 3 skills at a time in your skill wheel placed off your playstyle, which you also get bonuses. Now, after a skill is used, it does have a standard issue cooldown cooldown, which isn't that long, but all in all, it's really not that bad. Now, some of the weapons you get to use in battle actually require ammo that you collect, while others do use a overheat system. So once you actually hit to a certain point, the gun will overheat and you'll have to wait a short amount of time for it to cool down to be able to use it again. Now, the overall basic plot of this game is it takes place in 2185, and you are part of the Andromeda Initiative to go and populate New World after you leave the Milky Way. And each race has a ship that they call the Ark, where they send 20,000 citizens on a 600-year journey to reach this new galaxy, and hopefully so you can colonate it. And pretty much each arc or the ship has a leader that they call the Pathfinder, and naturally your character is chosen as the Pathfinder on your ship. And once they are supposed to arrive, they're supposed to build the Nexus, which is pretty much kind of like a huge space station where all government and diplomacy is supposed to take place. And you awake once you've actually reached the Andromeda sector in 2819, and it pretty much took you 634 years to get there. And as you get there, things aren't as nice as you expect. There's missing ships, there's been cryogenic problems, there's rebellions going on, and a bunch of other shit. And that's basically the plot in a nutshell. Now, one thing I have noticed about this game that is greatly improved over some of the earlier ones is your vehicle, the Nomad. A lot of people were worried because the one from the original version, I don't think it was called a Nomad, was fucking terrible to control. It was god-awful. But don't worry, the Nomad actually handles fantastic in this game because they actually had members from the Need for Speed crew actually come on and help them with the control of it. So it's pretty damn good the way it controls, so you don't have to worry no more about just how terrible that the control of the damn vehicle is. Now, naturally, the multiplayer does return in this. It is your standard issue 4-player deathmatch style game where as you go through, it's kind of different the way they have it set up. You do get different weapons, like 40 different weapons that you can modify, and what they call player kits, which are 25 total, which allow different setups of just your weapons, loadouts, your abilities, and stuff like that. Now, the overall size of the game, I have to admit, is very impressive. It's very overwhelming in size, but one big fault that I have to say with it is the damn game plays a lot like Batman. It has you scanning everything, and I kind of understand it considering that you are in a new galaxy, so you don't understand what these creatures and life forms are, so you got to scan everything. But after a while, it gets really, really fucking annoying. Now, the other thing I kind of forgot to mention, and I kind of got to let you know about multiplayer, is it does have microtransactions. And I'm not going to get into massive detail with them, but they do return, and I find that to be a fucking annoyance. I've never been a fan of any game that results to having microtransactions in their fucking game. Now, some of the things about the single player I have to talk about are pretty damn impressive. Like, a good example is the squad member of your team that has the least amount of lines in this game actually has more lines than the main character that had the most lines in Mass Effect 3, which is actually pretty damn impressive. But overall, what do I think about this game? First of all, I have had some major glitches with the game. I've had all kinds of wonky shit happen, texture glare, just total glitching. Character movements seem like rubbery. They did get the lip syncing done very well, but because of the massive day one patch, a lot of the glitches were fixed that the early preview versions had problems with. I haven't had any issues with people like the monkey walking or anything like that, or heads falling off, but overall the character designs seem kind of bland, and their faces are rubbery and just kind of odd looking. And overall the game itself to me seems rather average. It's not that great. It's not bad either, but honestly, compared to Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, this does in fact really seems like it was a last generation game. And when you have games out there like Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn, this one just will probably kind of get lost in the bunch. I mean, the one other problem I have with is some of the quests in it seem like just padding, like really bad fetch quests that are just flat ass boring as hell. So, a lot of the main characters seem really ho-hum, and the animation is really kind of bad. I don't like the characters in this game at all. overall, the only thing I can say about it is the fact that the overall story, compared to the previous ones where it was about the end of the world and you fighting for your life, this one does seem overly optimistic since you're exploring a new galaxy and everything like that. I mean, the game itself is rather fun, but honestly, for it to be the fourth one in the series of Mass Effect, even though technically this doesn't have anything to do with the first three, to me it seems kind of generic, and I'm not really overly impressed with it. So my final view of Mass Effect Andromeda is, if you were to buy it, rent it, or pass it, I would say don't buy this game. It is a decent game, but right now, I would say either wait for a discounted price for it, which I guarantee you if you wait like a week or so, you could probably go to your local GameStop and find a used copy for it and save you some money. Or if you're able to rent it from a Redbox or a video rental store, which actually do exist, I would highly recommend that, but I would say pass on actually purchasing this game. So this was Nate, aka Devil Dog, and I want to thank everyone who subscribes to my channel. I want to thank everyone who watches this video. If you did pick up this game, and let me know in the comments, what do you think about it? Do you think it's that great? What are the high points to it? What are the low points? Do you really think they should have even bothered with this game? And if you had some of these funny ass glitches, leave it in the comments below of what you think. Now, I always got to say it and end my videos by saying this: have fun, play hard, and remember, people, the devil is in the details. Peace out.